Hi, this is Hot Mike and I'm Nidhi Razdan. It's been nearly 3 months since Russia invaded Ukraine, and one of the ostensible reasons was the expansion of the NATO alliance to possibly include Ukraine, a prospect that Russia saw as a threat right in its backyard. Ironically, Putin's invasion may have done just that, expanded NATO. Sweden and Finland have now formally applied to join the security alliance, and it has been prompted by Russia's war. Most of NATO's 30-member countries are welcoming the move, though one member, Turkey, is still strongly opposed to it, saying the two countries support anti-Turkish terrorists. But more on that later. First, however, what is NATO and why is it such a big deal? The full form is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a defensive military alliance that was formed in 1949 by 12 countries, including the US, UK, Canada and France. NATO members have agreed that they'll come to one another's aid if they come under armed attack. That's one key reason why the West has not fought for Ukraine on the ground. Ukraine is not a member of NATO, and NATO countries do not want to risk an escalation by confronting Russian forces themselves, which would lead to an all-out conflict between Russia and the West. NATO's original aim, in fact, was to counter Russian expansion in Europe after World War II. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, many of its former Eastern European allies joined NATO. The process to become a NATO member takes about a year, and all member states have to agree that a new country can join. However, in this case, it may take less time because the West is keen to expand the alliance. The basic criteria is that members must be democracies, treat minorities fairly, and commit to resolving conflicts peacefully, and they have to give the alliance military support. Finland has a 1,300-kilometer-long border with Russia, and both Finland and Sweden have highly capable militaries. NATO members have also to agree to spend 2% of their GDP on defense, a target that Finland has already met and Sweden has promised to meet soon. Sweden and Finland's move to join now is significant because both countries have been politically neutral for many years. Sweden actually has a very long history of non-alignment that goes back to the 19th century. In Finland's case, the story is more complicated. The then Soviet Union invaded Finland in 1939, but they could not manage a full takeover. With the threat of a Soviet invasion hanging over their heads constantly, Finland decided to be non-aligned during the Cold War. But there was plenty of Soviet meddling in their domestic affairs anyway. This was a pragmatic approach for the country that shares this long border with Russia. In recent years, both Finland and Sweden have actually been cooperating quite a lot with NATO without actually being formal members. So they do military exercises together, they share intelligence, but the idea was to be able to keep a distance on paper at least. Until now, this was a stand that suited both countries politically and strategically. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine has changed everything, with public opinion strongly in favor of joining NATO in both countries. So what does this mean now? Well, the main thing will be to see how Russia reacts to all this. Vladimir Putin has long considered NATO a threat and has already threatened to react with unspecified military technical measures should the Nordic states commit what he called the grave mistake of joining NATO. The Kremlin has warned that the general level of military tensions will increase in Europe if the alliance actually expands on Russia's doorstep. Analysts say that Finland's or Sweden's NATO membership may, however, not anger Putin the same way if a former Soviet republic had joined. In any case, both these countries have already been working closely with NATO for so many years. But Turkey's opposition to both of them joining has made headlines in recent weeks. Turkey's president says that Finland and Sweden have been harboring members of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, a group that it views as a terrorist organization. However, the US has said it's confident that both Finland and Sweden will join NATO despite Turkish objections. The next few months will be critical. Stay tuned.